All right. Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome to another edition of Grace and Gossip. I took last week off because it was my birthday week, but I am back. And today's Grace and Gossip is an exclusive. We are going to be talking about two of the biggest conversations in pop culture. The first one we started earlier this year and actually last year, and have been talking through it. The Diddy trial, you guys know, actually on my birthday, which was October 3rd. The sentence was finally came down after almost a year of Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs being in jail awaiting his trial. And the verdict has caused a split on social media. A lot of people feel like he was that he got too much time. Some people feel like he didn't get enough time. Some people feel like it was unfair. We're going to get into all of that. And then after that, we are going to talk about this ridiculous beef between, well, I don't want to say ridiculous, but this beef, this going back and forth between Nicki Minaj and Cardi B. And I don't want to call it a beef because when we think of rap beef, we think of like something that was usually handled on, with music, competition. This is something very different, something very dark. And so I want to get into that as well. Today, I have two of my favorite people joining me for this conversation. The first, you guys know, Scorpio Moe. He and I are here 2-3 times a week, every week. But I thought it would be good to have Scorpio Moe here because he is a music head. Actually, that's how the two of us met, was from him doing music. And so he definitely comes from the area, knows a lot of intel. So please help me welcome Scorpio Moe to the conversation. Yes. And the second, well, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining. Thank you. Our second guest is no stranger to Grace and Gossip. I also met him through work, and as a journalist, he's worked with some of the biggest networks in the world, just mainstream networks, from NBC to ABC to CBS, Revolt, so many things. He's just an amazing he's just an amazing journalist, writer, and a friend. And most importantly, he's also a Libra. So please help me welcome back to the show, Ryan J. Dennis.
Hey, birthday queen. And birthday
king. Yes. Our birthdays are like a day apart.
Yes, that's how you know we were just meant to be.
Yeah, it's just in sync. And we got a Scorpio here. We'll allow it. We'll allow
it. Good, brother. We back with another one.
Yes. So, guys, as I said, I had to call both of you guys because Friday we learned the sentencing came down after what felt, it felt like a really long year. And I think most people were surprised, along with Diddy himself, probably, that he was in jail for the entire time. And then even after the verdict came back, to which he was acquitted of 2 of the charges, or 3 of the charges, I believe, and that he would still have to remain in jail until sentencing, which seemed kind of shocking. But I wanted to start tonight's conversation by reading, because there's so many conversations that aren't rooted in truth at all. So before we get into this conversation, let's go back over the charges and then the indictments. So there were 5 charges. There was a racketeering conspiracy under the RICO statute alleging that Diddy led an enterprise that committed crimes such as sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, obstruction of justice, among other things. There were 2 counts of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, each relating to conduct toward his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, and a woman identified under the pseudonym of Jane Doe. And then there were 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, which were violations of the Mann Act, which was transporting individuals across state lines for purposes of prostitution. Now, those charges could have had him, if he had gotten convicted on all of 5, he probably would never have seen the light of day. However, The jury acquitted him of the racketeering conspiracy charge, which meant the RICO went out the window, and both sex trafficking counts against Cassie and Jane Doe also were thrown out. What he was convicted on were 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, which fell under the Mann Act. Each of those prostitution, this is where things get tricky for the conversation. Each of those prostitution transportation counts has a maximum prison sentence of 10 to 20 years, and those sentences can run consecutively. So the maximum could have been 10 years. Obviously, the minimum is up to the judge's discretion. So at sentencing, the judge imposed 4 years, just over 4 years, and a fine of $500,000. So he did not get the maximum. And those were for basically transportation to engage in prostitution. So let's start the conversation. I'm going to go to you, Ryan, because I know you've been knee deep in this.
No pun intended. Not knee deep for Diddy. That's a thing.
Figuratively, but my question to you is, because so many people are saying that the biggest argument I've heard is that he was not convicted, that they're charging him, the sentencing doesn't fit the crime. Listening to what those crimes are, and there's a lot more here, but the crime, the sentencing for the racketeering and the sex trafficking charges both were over 20. Those were ridiculous sentences that could not be reduced if he had been convicted of those. So do you think that, what are your thoughts on the public's response and what actually took place?
Well, that's a really good question, because, I think that there was so much noise surrounding this case that we almost forgot what this case was about. Mm-hmm. And, overall, I think that off the surface, he wasn't tried for a lot of the things that we initially thought that he was going to go down under for. Mm-hmm. However, this trial was the biggest trial, I would say, of the year. And, when we think about what he got, it's nothing compared to what could have happened, the results. Mm-hmm. And what I ultimately think about is the victims that came forward and the victims that didn't come forward. Mm-hmm. And they're forever damaged. They don't get to see the light of day. They don't get to, get this spectacle and move on. This man is going to be free at some point. Mm-hmm. So my heart goes out to them first and foremost. But overall, I think that as we saw the trial unfold, we saw that what he was going to get away with. And it feels like when the racketeering aspect, I just look at the trial and we think about the domestic relationship between him and Cassie versus him being her employer, which is the whole RICO thing. But I think that overall, we think about the system of Diddy and Combs Enterprises and their alleged decades and decades long history of this. Mm-hmm. And we think about everything that happened from what appears to be, I'll say 2013 and on to this point. Mm-hmm. And, it's really interesting to see. It reminds me of OJ, I want to say.
Yeah.
The public response to it reminds me of the shift in which it feels like people don't take victims seriously when people come to light. And I know that in a lot of cases, some people were trying to get a check. Some people were trying to come forward with their own ulterior motive, but there are some people out there involved in this case that came forward with very difficult stories that were very hard to present. And I think that overall society, you know, we don't take victims seriously. We don't look at what has happened seriously enough.
Mm-hmm. Scorpio Mo, I'll ask you to weigh in on that. It almost feels like, to me, to your point, Ryan, that if you're a successful, specifically man, then the defendant turns into the victim, right? And then we have empathy for them, but not necessarily for their victims, right? And so people have made him, and from my perspective, people are now making him the victim, right? And that's not. But I want to, before I get into that, let me let Scorpio Mo weigh in on your thoughts on the trial. And I do want to add to that, the racketeering and sex trafficking counts, if he had been convicted of those, there's the possibility he could have gotten a life sentence. So when those were removed, that removed the possibility of him spending life in jail. But for a good amount of time, things did not look good. So that could have been a life sentence, could have been the fate if those charges had been, if one of those charges had been proven.
Right. Okay. Woo. All right. So here's the thing. I think the time that he got is appropriate, even if you added another year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the time was for what he didn't get convicted for. That's what I think the time is for. That's the reason why he wasn't let out on bail. He couldn't get out. They're not he was going to be made an example of. Whether some of the charges were going to stick or not. You were going to pay. This wasn't going to be another OJ. We got you. And we're going to make an example out of you. You know, you wreak havoc, you've done things. But for what he actually got convicted for, I don't even think the conviction was right.
Oh, so you don't think, so these counts, so the counts that he was guilty of, the Mann Act basically says that you transport a person to engage in prostitution.
Mm-hmm.
And that was found on both with Cassie and with Jane, who I believe is allegedly 50 Cent's baby mama. Allegedly.
Right.
But so you don't believe that he was guilty of either of those charges?
No. I think what makes us, you know, you got willing participants that turn, you know, that people can understand. They cut deals. All these people have what do you call it?
Immunity. They got immunity.
There you go. They have immunity. And even because if that's the case, and he was charged with basically pimping, it's like he didn't make any money off of it. Everybody got paid but him. And the people that got paid turned against him.
Mm-hmm.
These are people that came back. These weren't people, unfortunately, like, you know, drugged inside some van and kidnapped and tied to a radiator and people had their way with them. These are people that went home. These were people that had their own residence and drove back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and these deals were made and half of the people got paid beforehand. And to come back, it was more of a character witness. Mm-hmm. Now, do I think he should have went to jail for the Cassie video? I think he should have got 4 years just for that. And when that didn't happen and he didn't get convicted on the other stuff, you're still going to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they just played the shell game. They gave the time for the stuff that he didn't. That, to me, it's just, that becomes murky because every NFL player, and I mean, you hear these stories of these guys, especially in, let's say, in the 80s, in especially basketball, you know, and I'm not going to call any names, but they sit up there in these podcasts and tell you these stories where they were doing the same exact thing. Women would travel and follow the team bus, meet them in different towns. The guys would pay for it. We hear this rhetoric on social media. You got to fly me out. What is that then? They're saying it. There's posts of women saying, you got to fly me out, you got to pay for this, you got to pay for that. We're watching it in real time.
But let me ask you that, but Mo, okay, that there are people getting flued out. But do you not think that there's a difference between sex workers and girls that you're interested in online?
Well, the sex workers in these instances happen to be the males against the person, with the person he was with.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
No male said Diddy did anything with them.
No, but at the very least, prostitution is illegal. At the very minimum.
So why wasn't Cassie on trial? Why wasn't
But Cassie wasn't, well, I guess in some way she did use his money. But what we did, okay, I guess, and this is what I think this is what Ryan was talking about when he first said victims are not protected. Because you can acknowledge that Cassie was a victim in that video, right? We all can agree to that.
The physical abuse, absolutely.
A victim of physical abuse. So are we, I guess the question comes in because Elite Leo says she agrees with you. She thinks that the women, I'm gonna put this post up here. And we can have a safe discussion where people can disagree. The women prostitute themselves for a lifestyle, bags, jewelry, free rent, vacations. They could have gotten a job and downgraded their lifestyle. Ryan?
Okay. When you say that everyone got paid except for him, but he was allegedly running a criminal enterprise. He was the person behind Combs Enterprises, and there was a system of people that he hired to orchestrate this entire thing.
He paid them because he had the money, and it was for his enjoyment, right? So
it was personal, and it appears to be fun. But I'm wondering that, I think that this case, the line is blurred between, okay, this is pleasure and this is coercion. Mm-hmm. But I think that overall, something different was happening here. People are talking about traumatic experiences that industry people, you know it, I know it. We've heard about this stuff happening for years. So the fact that it saw the light of day in court only because of the abuse that Cassie suffered on videotape. Mm-hmm. Think about the stuff that's not proven on videotape. And that was, of course, a domestic situation, but we hear about the power that this person has had for so long. Even when it came down to what happened to Kid Cudi, his car randomly getting blown up. How do we explain that?
That's the time that he went. That's what he's paying for, but he didn't get convicted for that. That's why
he did not get convicted of that. But I do think that the Mann Act and the transportation and prostitution, I do think the reason that he got convicted of that is because you cannot split the line, right? You cannot say Cassie was basically coerced. She did endure physical violence, but she didn't have any mental intimidation. That's an impossible thing to prove. You cannot say, yes, this person was beating you up and had done that repeatedly, but we don't believe that you were mentally intimidated or mentally abused. You can't, to say that she did these things with no coercion after seeing her be beat is kind of strange to me. So the people that are saying she chose this, we all have heard of Stockholm Syndrome, and we all understand that a person that is that powerful, there was testimony that she did leave, he did come back and get her numerous times. So you can't, it's
really different.
Good.
I'm saying it's really, even like you said, the trial that he was convicted for wasn't what we all know to be what it should have been or could have been. And when we think about everything that came outside of the noise, outside of the baby oil, outside of all these things that created the distraction of what this case was really about, it became a spectacle. And it's really disappointing that when we think about abuse in the community, abuse that happens within our own communities, we it's often a joke. Yeah. Nobody takes it seriously.
I think that I've never seen a situation, because if he's paying, he's the pimp and the John.
Well, that's what he was doing.
No.
He was, because he was paying, and then we all heard the gory details of what he enjoyed, right? So he was paying for this life, this alternative lifestyle at the level that he wanted it. He is not that this was all on his dime. This was his show.
Right.
He told the guys what to do to the girls. He told the girls what to do to the guys. So there's he is the pimp and the John.
No, that's what I'm saying. He paid for a service. He asked for certain things for them to do with a fee. So he essentially, if he orchestrated it, he is the pimp and he is the John.
Yeah.
And and I think about like movies like Pretty Woman, right? And I'm like, all right. So I've never seen, first of all, the John get more time than the pimp. And if he,
both.
But if he is the pimp, that means he made money, and that's where the line.
It's control.
I'm just saying when pimping and pandering, you have to. That's part of, you're making money. If not, you just directed, but you didn't make any money. That's not pimping.
I think that's a really like.
That's what it's a really. That's when it gets a little funny.
It gets complicated.
I have money and I say, I want this, right? So I want to control the entire show. I'm going to beat you up if you don't do what I tell you to do. I'm going to pay you. And if you tell somebody's coming.
God knows what.
Yeah, like that is still the pimp. This pimp is not making money because he is a billionaire. He is getting things for his own pleasure. This is the show that he wanted to create. But I want to take a different turn, because we could go back and forth on what we think, but I think this is indicative of what the public is doing. Everybody feels very strongly one kind of way. So there are a couple of things that came out. First, right before they went into sentencing, reports came out that Diddy had a speaking engagement booked for this week in Miami. That came out prior to sentencing, which I almost feel like I don't know if that was a mistake or if that was done purposely to show how arrogant his team was in believing that he would be free. Also, his team petitioned Trump for basically for his verdict to be overturned. And then lastly, he wrote a letter. I'm going to read some of this letter, and I want you guys to speak to all the things that we saw happening from the speaking engagement being booked for him to show up this week, and then this letter that ultimately the judge said was inappropriate. It's 4 pages, so I won't read all of it, but I'll read certain pieces of this letter. Dear Judge Sobranian, I hope this letter finds you well and in good health and spirits. Thank you for the opportunity to express my thoughts to you. First and foremost, I want to apologize and say how sincerely sorry I am for all the hurt and pain that I have caused others by my conduct. I take full responsibility and accountability for my past wrongs. This has been the hardest 2 years of my life, and I have no one to blame for my current reality and situation but myself. In my life, I have made many mistakes, but I'm no longer running from them. I am sorry for the hurt that I caused, but I understand the mere words "I'm sorry" will never be good enough, as these words alone cannot erase the pain from the past. Over the past 13 months, I've had to look in the mirror like never before. My pain became my teacher. My sadness was my motivator. And I have to admit, my downfall was rooted in my selfishness. The scene and images of me assaulting Cassie play over and over in my head daily. I literally lost my mind. I was dead wrong for putting my hands on the woman that I loved. He says, Your Honor, I thought I was providing for Jane concerning her and her child. But after hearing her testimony, I realized that I hurt her. For this, I am deeply sorry. I lost my way. I got lost in my journey, lost in the drugs and excess. My downfall, again, was rooted in selfishness. There have been some days I thought I would be better off dead. The old me died in jail, and a new me was reborn. Prison will change you or kill you. I choose to live. I realize I am in a situation where no amount of money, power, or fame can save me. Only God can save me. My grandmother used to teach me that God makes no mistakes and that everything he does is for your good. I believe a bad situation can be used for good. Although this situation has been the hardest and darkest time of my life, good things have come out of my incarceration. I am now sober for the first time in 25 years. I have been trying my best to deal with my drug abuse and anger issues and take accountability as well as positive steps towards healing. I ask for your mercy today, not only for my sake, but for the sake of my children. God bless me with 7 beautiful children, 3 sons and 3 daughters. He has their names in there. And he says, prior to being in jail, I took care of and was present for my family. Being in jail and because of my conduct, I lost the ability to take care of my mother and to support and raise my children. I'll start with Scorpio Moe. Why do you think the judge found the letter inappropriate?
Man, the letter part, that's a normal thing. Like this happens all the time. So I don't understand how that was inappropriate, to be honest with you. I don't get the letter part. Now, the other stuff I could see, but the letter, this is a normal thing that happens.
Well, no, it wasn't the fact that he wrote the letter. The judge found this letter inappropriate in the situation.
Not the letter. The other stuff I could see, and we'll get to that. But for me, not the letter. I mean, he's supposed to shoot his shot. And I don't see any lines crossed at the letter part. No.
Yeah. What did you think of him, the potential booking?
That's super disrespectful, bold, cocky, arrogant. The audacity to even think that. You should have known the fact that you were locked up this whole time, waiting until your sentencing even, that this wasn't going to fly. That you weren't going to get nothing. That's crazy. So I disagree with the letter, but I agree with the booking. Like, what?
And lastly, your thoughts on him petitioning Trump for a pardon.
Like I said, I'm not mad at anybody shooting their shot. That's, what do you if you got an opportunity, shoot your shot. I mean, do I think you're going to get it? No. But it is what it is. I don't think you're playing yourself. I mean, if you have an opportunity to get out, if you're him, I understand the victim saying no. I understand all of that. I'm saying when you're in that hot seat, you're going to do what you feel like you can do or try to unlock every door if you can. So I understand it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Ryan, your thoughts. Let's start with the letter.
So, I mean, yes, we hear this all the time. This is nothing new for victims and for family and members that want to reach the judge. I think that let me slow down. I think that his team are trying to present him as if he's a hero, that he just kind of won a war and went to another country and took home the crown. And I'm just like, no, this is not what this is. You did something horrible to people for years and years and years. Yeah. And so the fact that we even heard about you having a Madison Square Garden comeback show and not just speaking engagements, you're not about to come in here and do a TED Talk about your wrongful, like, that's not what this is. So I think that that's the part that, okay, you got the audacity when people are writing the victims are still writing for protection because they're currently in fear for their lives. They're currently thinking about, okay, I still may be blackballed. I might not have a career. Diddy can still go out to reach Trump. He can still go to his publishing catalog. He still has businesses operating. There is a system that has sustained him for many, many years. So the fact that he came out with this letter is a slap in the face. But you can't knock him for trying. I'm not knocking him from trying. But I think that he still doesn't have a sense. And his team, they're going to constantly massage his ego to not be truthful with him. Because that's what you do when you have money and power. You can still convince people that it's something else.
Yeah. I'm going to get to 50 Cent in a minute.
But the fact that people were saying long ago that he was going to ask Trump for a pardon. People was constantly saying that, he was going to get away with this.
Yeah.
And I think that there has to be some accountability. And I also think about what it looks like for his counterparts. Other people, billionaires, high profile celebrities that are in this situation, will we have a different reaction to it? But the reality is that this is hip hop culture. This is the culture that raised us all. Yeah. So to come to this space, and it's kind of like, okay, we've heard about it, but we have to pretend that it didn't happen, even when it's happening in front of us. What is that?
Yeah. It did bother me that he said that he thought that he was providing for Jane Doe and her child in the letter, and then said, but now he understands that he hurt her.
Of course he's going to say that.
But I'm just saying that to me, that was inappropriate. To me, what was inappropriate about the letter,
that's not what he said. That's what his writer and his team said.
It is, but I feel like with him, he's more involved in it because it did come off very cocky. It did come off very much on brand for him. It came off like a motivational speech of I'm down, but I choose to live. It sounds like his motivational Diddy stuff, right? Which is who he is. And a lot of that is not bad, but it just isn't, it's not appropriate, I feel, because you have to realize people have been hurt. And when you saying to this girl, I don't even want the audio of him talking to Daphne. And I'm not saying Daphne didn't put herself in that situation, because she did, but he didn't think that he was helping her and her child. You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't the case. The thing with Trump, that's a whole nother issue. What irritated me about that is that he was in the middle of saying he didn't know he was going to give Ghislaine Maxwell a pardon, which pisses me off. That is unbelievable that he would even say he was considering that. Just on a whole nother note, I can't even begin.
Read, he doesn't know what's going on. He has to go back and read.
He had to talk to the DOJ. But still, the fact that he even has to talk to anybody.
That's true.
Child sex trafficking. What are we talking about, right? But with Diddy, I think also that's just like ego again, because he did go at Trump. First, he and Trump were friends. That's what everybody tries to forget about Trump, is that first he was friends with all these celebrities. And then when it changed, I believe everybody knew who everybody was, but it made sense then. And then when it changed, then all of a sudden I say a lot of bad things about you, but because of our history, and Trump was like, as a human being, he said a lot of bad things about me. I'm not going to do it. I can't, as much as I don't support anything and don't want to even get into that, it's kind of hard for me to think that somebody that I talk negatively about and started a whole campaign against would help me later, right? True, people are fickle, but guess what? When you talk bad about somebody, you got to remember they're waiting for you to be down.
Here's the thing. Like if Trump, which he can't, but let's say he was able to run again, or this was his first, his first or whatever, right? He would do it, and he would make him kiss the ring,
yeah,
and campaign for me like he did for Obama his first term, and when he did the rock the vote thing back in the 90s, 90s, early 2000s. So that's what it is. But he has no use for him now at this point.
Not at all. Not at all. But then I thought, lastly, the audacity of the Madison Square Garden and the booking is just unbelievable. And as a publicist, I don't understand why his team would even have allowed that to get out. Part of why we're all on, people when they go to trial, you're on trial for your personality, you're on trial for your character. And your character is one that is across the board, whether you're guilty or not, cocky, out of touch, narcissistic, and you just confirmed those things with these bookings. I'm surprised he didn't get even more. The judge was clear that he was not playing with them and all that. I mean, his team was definitely checked a few times on some of the antics, but it just speaks to, and then just the way of the way the letter is written. Like I said, it's written like it's a hero story, right? So it's like, I'm down, but I'm choosing to live. I'm back up, and I now see the air of my ways, and I'm ready to take that. Like that's what it felt like to me. And 4 pages is just too long. Like that's what it felt like. It was, and let me say something. He is one of the best at motivational speaking. One of the best. Yeah, it was. I felt like him and Mace were gonna get together right quick and do a little, but that is inappropriate. And so let's take another twist. 50 Cent. 50 Cent has been, I don't even know if this is trolling at this point. I'm going to read a little bit from what 50 posted. I don't believe that 50 actually sent this to the judge, but he did post this. I don't know what this is. Dear Judge, got the judge's name. I've had an ongoing dispute with Sean Puffy Combs for over 20 years. He is very dangerous. Multiple times I have feared for my life. I think you should consider, for the safety of the general public, Your Honor, before unleashing him upon them. There hasn't been enough time for him to reform or make any adjustments, despite his trying to teach a class in jail. As you are already aware, the government has spent the maximum amount of money on deploying federal agencies, which appear to be an army in 2 locations simultaneously. Later, his son, who's dealing with his own rape allegations, claimed the feds hit the wrong house. Diddy's only going to return to hiring more sex workers and keeping most of the baby oil away from the general public.
Okay, here's the thing. What people seem to forget, and some of it came out on this trial, he tried to get rid of 50. That came out.
Yeah.
So, and then you got to think back to the Supreme situation. It's a certain line what you cross. It ain't no, calm down, you doing too much when you find out that somebody tried to eliminate you.
Right.
So he plays rough. And I don't think that went to the judge, but the stuff that he says, and he don't want that, he doesn't care for him. And it's been, and it didn't start out that way.
Yeah.
Written for Diddy, they've done business, but as we know, just as bad of a person he does, he's a difficult guy to deal with. It's not a lot of room for ego when his ego is in the room.
Yeah.
You're gonna feel it, and he's gonna make you pay. He's gonna make you suffer in deals. He's gonna hold back. He's going to block, and then when it comes to the ultimate thing, and it becomes up against your life, you're gonna feel different. And it's been proven. He was warned before this. So when people ask, he just didn't put it out there, but he was before this was happening, and what some was trying to do to him, and he never told it. Now he's just expressing how he felt about it. So and that's what it is. I get it.
I'm not mad at Twitter finger 50 Cent. I mean, the fact that we can kind of chuckle a little bit when he describes him as dangerous is sad in itself. But yeah, this has been going on for so long. And the thing about 50, he became just as powerful. So, the people that are silenced, he's not one of them.
He is not. He's not. And I guess, I think we have this idea specifically in the industry, and both of you guys will know what I'm talking about. This like, don't tell, right? So I know a lot of people have been, Puff slapped Drake, and Drake never said anything about it, right? But we know that happened, right? So there's numerous other situations that have happened, but there's this whole snitch, you don't want to be a snitch or whatever, you don't say anything. So I think for 50, if someone tries to allegedly have you unalived, at what point do I no longer have to deal with that type of the political culture of not saying anything, specifically when he's doing this to a number of other people? So I think 50 is just not with that culture and has been very vocal. But I also think the crazy thing is there's a lot of truth to it. Now, it's also, somebody said that Leo said 50 has previous DV allegations himself. Daphne filed a report on him years ago. This is on, and I'm not refuting Daphne, but I do think that her having connections to both of them is strange and makes me not sure what's happening. Because if you are with Puff and Puff hates 50, and I just don't know what's happening there, because to even want 50, Diddy to pay her and her to be one of his, like that, it's like you go to my enemy for a reason, right? You know what I mean? And they play those kind of games. But I just don't know if I can hold her to, her character in a great place just because of the way she played back and forth between the two of them.
She can't be manipulated either.
She can. But she was manipulated by one. Was she manipulated by both? I don't know. Maybe so. I don't know. I'm just saying I don't know, because she was upset. She was upset with Diddy, but then she changed and was going to speak on his. I think she was going to write a letter to the judge at first, or she was going to speak to the judge. That's all.
Paying her rent, right?
He was paying 10. Well, he said that you got your contract. You remember that? It said you got your contract. You got your 10K a month. Go find you someplace nice, but be sure you're here and make sure you're handling your business. And it sounded very pimpish, Mo. That audio sounded very much like a pimp.
Hey. That sounded like a pimp.
The love contract.
The love contract.
Right,
Leo.
What did the Cassie audio talking to the guy that said he had the tape? What did that sound like?
It sounded like she was mad and she did not want her. Now, in that tape, we also need to acknowledge that he did attempt to extort her and her parents, and that part was proven. I'm not sure why he didn't even get in trouble for that, but he actually acknowledged that he didn't take the money in the end, but her parents came up with they put their mortgage up for sale and gave him $50,000 to keep from putting the tape out on their daughter. So
I just think that is the surface level of the power and dangerous type of possibilities that could happen with these types of people. We're thinking about somebody that, one, was a billionaire, had access to presidential candidates, had access to feds, had access to run an empire of multiple things, not just industry things, but we all heard a conspiracy theory with Diddy.
Yes.
And that's just the surface.
Yeah, people in the industry and without.
Yeah. I don't think that it really describes what it really is. I mean, we take it, you know, we take it for surface level, but I don't think that people really understand the magnitude
Yeah.
of what it is.
And I think, you know, I want to get ready to wrap this part up, but I think that people don't understand. I also think that it's just our nature to put people on a pedestal who have been successful. And I think that's just public. If you have been successful, then you are looked at as more valuable than others, right? And so I think that, and there's also, and that's not even talking about the issues with patriarchy and the fact that men's lives are considered, you know, if a woman is, you know, has SA or something, it's not considered as big. Well, she probably wanted it or she liked it, or I mean, it's just so many things that go into this that are sickening and just a part of the culture, right? So the fact that people could see him beat Cassie and still say, well, she did this on her own. Like, who?
Well, I think that's where it splits. I don't people saying that part of it.
But you can't say the other part. Who wants to be beat? People that are in domestic violence situations, even if they are with a non-famous person, often end up back with their abuser. That doesn't mean that they enjoy it. That doesn't mean that they want it. That doesn't mean that they deserve it. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't have empathy for them. What in the world is wrong with us if we think that?
After she's married, though?
But mentally, a person can have a mental hold on you in a strange way. You have no idea what that would do to somebody after years of that.
Okay.
So I just, you know, I mean, could the argument cannot be that a person would just want to be abused. It cannot be that. Is it, Mo?
I don't think that's the argument, but I just find it like, okay, you get married and still, like they say when the guy, you know, remains his belt and still the heavy, it's like, and still you're like.
Because he's taught, she feels guilty. He has conditioned her to believe that he's good and everything. Just like, I don't know if you've ever dealt with someone that's dealt with domestic violence, but many times those people will want to go back, even when they're away. Even when they're away, there are so many women, and I've worked with domestic violence shelters, that when they leave, they go back to their abuser. They return to it, and it's mental abuse, and we can't if you're healthy, you don't understand it, and maybe if you're a man, you don't understand it. But it's definitely I can't imagine that anyone would say, well, she would want to be beat up. She would want to be dragged by her hair and treated like this.
Physical stuff, I'm not even like, I get, like I said, I believe he should have got the 4 years just for that alone. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just think he's dirty for that. And I think that's what he's actually spending time for. And good for him. I don't feel sorry for him at all.
Yeah. All right, Ryan, you guys both, any last minute thoughts on the trial? We're looking at him being home November 2028. What do you think is going to happen? Is he done? Will he be able to do that?
He's done. You know, for me as a fan and a former employee, you know, it's hard to, it's not hard, but I still, if a Diddy song comes on, if a Bad Boy song comes on, I'm gonna play it, I'm gonna rock out. But I can't look at the character of Diddy the same anymore. You know, I think that, you know, I'm glad that he's getting some accountability for what a slice of what we have been able to witness. But you know, the fact that his team is working so hard to bring him back to the top, it just shows how powerful they are, and the stakes that they're willing to go to bring him back to where he was. Now, I don't know what that looks like. You know, I don't know what that looks like. It's going to be interesting to see once he comes out. I mean, and not just that. I mean, he's old and gray. You know, it's at some point it was going to be like, all right, bro, you can't be doing the take that on stage with the dancers in the shiny suits at some point. So I'll be interested to see how it all unfolds. But we can never look at this man the same.
Yeah, I don't think you can look at him the same, but I do think I think he'll rebound, and I think that he, for some reason, our culture, specifically hip hop, will kind of like give glory to someone that's been through something with the system, because a lot of times we'll see it as us against them, even though
credibility.
Yes, us be hurting us, but us be okay with us hurting us as long as the man is not involved. So I think that people will give him a platform. He will have reverence in the community. And if he has, I don't know if he'll be able to connect himself. I kind of look at it like Young Thug. Thug was, idolized, and then he came out and messed his own self up. Now he's trying to get it back, and he may. But I think being in jail has never been a negative thing in our culture. It's always been seen as something that you get through, and it almost gives you more credibility. So I think that this will probably make him more endearing to some people. And then we'll just have to see what he does with that. Mo?
I think he's like the brother said, and I was saying it the whole time, it's gonna be an OJ situation. OJ started doing these podcasts, this lower levels of media stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's gonna happen with Puff. He's gonna start his own thing, something that he can control, and he's gonna have people on there, but it's not gonna be the commercial success that he had before. But it's fine. He has his money, he still has the publishing, you know what I mean? It'll be all right for him, but it would never be what it was. I think it's over with. Jay-Z and Nas have definitely risen in a place where Puff would have thrived in, the casino market, all these things that would have been in line for Puff, but I think, having big cases in New York, the stuff at the City College thing where people died. He was an A&R for an artist whose girlfriend was pregnant and lost her child, and they fell out for years behind that.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously it was the Shine situation. It's like it's only so much New York can take.
Mm-hmm.
If you pay taxes, he didn't live in New York. That's another thing. So he's more ward to New York if he lived in New York and paid taxes in New York than he is in jail.
Yeah.
But he's a Miami resident. You're not us no more.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I think he'll be all right, but it won't be what it was. And it's time. It's all.
I also don't know if it ever would have been anyway. He could have thrived in those areas, but I think his business, I think things around him were doing badly. And I think it all kind of snowballed, but I don't think he was ever going to reach that level of success. He's very different than Jay-Z and Nas in that he's flashy. He's Harlem. And Jay-Z is more laid back. Nas is definitely quiet. And I don't know that he would have been able to have that success in that realm because they just move different with their business, and I think that this is where that shows up. But let's move on to the next situation that we're going to talk about tonight right here.
Gosh.
Hip hop keeps taking hits. Diddy got sentenced, and Cardi B was on the precipice of launching her second album. It's crazy because I feel like she has like 4 or 5 albums out, but this is her second album. First album did very, very well. She's only been on features and collaborations since then. She releases her second album, comes out and acknowledges that she is pregnant, extremely pregnant with Stephon Diggs' child while still being married to Offset. And just as we're looking and we're like, man, bless her heart. Just as we're trying to stand behind Cardi with what seems to be a very messy yet well-received album promo run, her and Nicki Minaj get into one of the most disgusting and, to me, ugly, I'm not even gonna say beef, because I don't know if this is a beef or what this is exactly. I don't think we've ever seen anything this ugly, at least not on social media this way. There have been ugly things that happen behind closed doors, right? And quietly, but the two of them going back and forth. And I would say, from my perspective, kicked off by Nicki. And it happened when I was, looking at everything on Cardi, and where people are watching it, and she's getting a lot of, her album goes platinum. And then we see Nicki put out a tweet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, things go badly. And she's saying that Cardi didn't write her. It just keeps going. She's angered because she's triggered because Cardi is allegedly having this success. Before I get into it with the guys, this is a long running rivalry. For me, it feels like Nicki Minaj has a long running rivalry with everybody. I feel like it started with Lil' Kim. She never would give Kim her flowers, and a lot of the other artists, specifically female artists that came up, always paid Kim so much homage. Nicki and Cardi have been into it since 2018. I never forget, they got into a fight at Fashion Week, Harper's Bazaar. I think there was a shoe thrown. It was dreadful. Anna Wintour was disgusted. And there's constantly been public, digs and media jabs and just blatant, just mudslinging. But this recent one, the children were involved, and Nicki went after Culture. Cardi responded by talking about Nicki's son and her husband, and things got crazy. I'll start with Scorpio Moe, the hip hop enthusiast in the building. What do you think about this? These disses and cryptic posts that we see going back and forth between Nicki and Cardi, and is this hip hop?
I think years ago we got past hip hop. I really think that it's at this point it's ego and affiliation with the streets, people waiting for people outside venues, and it's being recorded. Like, the way they're moving is, both of these ladies are reckless. It's past hip hop now. I'm not a fan of bringing any children involved in it, even though some of it is funny. But I just think that it's sad that it's not like one of you are broke and the other one is way on the top of this hill. And I'm just like, yo, we got bigger things. And, I don't mind competition lyrically. I don't think no one cares who writes anymore. We're past that now. You know what I mean? And to see people on top and they maneuver in this way, because usually you do that to get footing to try to overthrow. And I wasn't sure if this was publicity to build up the album or whatever, or that's why these things were leaked. But it's just sad. And you have a pregnant woman. That's why I'm like, more women aren't speaking out. Like, this can't be healthy for the baby, right?
I would think there were a lot of things happening that aren't necessarily healthy for the baby. I don't know what is healthy for the baby. She obviously is under a lot of stress, self-induced stress, and Nicki stress. I mean, doing an album promo run in the midst of, because we got to just go back, like even Stefan Diggs, her boyfriend, 2 other women came out and said they also are having babies with him. A gentleman came out and suggested, not that he was having a baby, but that he had also been in a situation with him. Cardi addressed the women online and said, did her Barbara, this is Shirley impersonation. And even though Cardi does seem to be able to make a lot of fun with things that are difficult, to your point, Mo, she is pregnant, not just pregnant, but in the at least end of her second trimester, because the baby is supposed to be here either at the end of the year, at the top of the year, and so we are dangerously close to the baby being here, and she's, you know,
I think
a
this
lot.
for help on Nicki's behalf. Like, I really think she needs help. Just her statements, everything is all over the place. Like, I really think this is a cry for help, and it's to the point now I'm starting to feel bad. She's going at the Rock Nation thing, Jay-Z, the cryptic stuff like you said. I just think it's something deeper going on. You know, I don't know what that is, but it just feels deeper than just this beef with this young lady.
She also did go at Harvey from TMZ and the guy with dreads. She's going at everybody. Ryan, what's going on? And are you get in on this? Get in on this. What do you think is going on?
Oh, okay. I am. There's been a lot of developments with this, and yes, it has gotten way out of hand. But overall, I think that Nicki is misunderstood. She is someone that
Hear this.
I think she's misunderstood because it's like she doesn't get the respect from the industry that Cardi B. I think it relates to race. Honestly, I think that Cardi and the industry politics, she has been able to get the praise that Nicki sought after.
But Ryan, I just want to insert in this into your statement, not to cut you off. For 11 years, there were no other female artists, MCs at all that were anywhere, unless you're gonna say that Rashida or some. I'm just saying there weren't any little. Nicki had no competition. There were no other females involved.
Okay. And what I think is happening right now is strategy.
Okay.
Cardi B had time to strategize. Like you said, she was planning this album for a long time. So she got her lick back on her ex-husband. She got her lick back with Nicki. She knew what was going to set her off. And yes, she is the drama. She orchestrated all of this.
How did she trigger Nicki? How did she
know what was going to trigger? She knew what was going to trigger Nicki.
How? By being successful?
We're thinking about Nicki Minaj's fan base. One of the wildest. They're almost just as crazy as the Beehive, the Barbs. So
you are face.
You are a Barb. Are you a Barb?
Are you a Barb? That's what I was going.
I'm Barbie hanging them. I like both of them. Mess with Nicki is gonna cost you.
He's a Barb. He's a Barb. We've uncovered it. He's a Barb. He's a Barb. Ryan, Tia Kemp had some choice words earlier today. Barbs. Because the Barbs have gone at Tia Kemp. Ryan, what? Okay, let's go back to because I saw a video.
You don't think that Cardi B is being just as petty as Nicki Minaj?
No.
She's responding.
What about Kim? Can we take it there? Because I feel like a lot of these Kim went at lot. Nicki goes at anyone who is successful. And I'm wondering why, as you said, you're gonna have to stand in as a representative of the Barbs, okay? You're gonna have to stand up because I'm confused. Why? I can't be a Barb. You're a Barb. Why did Nicki never just acknowledge Kim? That started it. Like she wanted to be the only one. She did not want to pay homage. She wanted to seem like, but yet it's so clear that you got so much of who you are from Kim. Why does Nicki have such a problem with other women? She wants to be with the guys. She does not want any other women. I mean,
what about Foxy Brown?
No, her and Foxy are not on speaking terms right now because of the Jay-Z situation.
I didn't know that.
Now you do. There you go, Ryan.
Nicki Minaj, and that's the thing. I haven't. It's so many developments. I can't keep up with it. Like when she fell out with Lotto and Megan Thee Stallion, I was just like, okay, she just got her thing where she, and even when she was beefing with Meek Mill and orchestrated the whole thing with Drake, she just always did some shit. I don't know. I can't keep up.
Oh.
You know, Ryan.
I feel bad. I do feel like Nicki is misunderstood, and she has some.
Cool, but how?
I feel like
It doesn't make sense.
I feel like she's like. I don't know. When it comes to writing her rhymes, okay, that's a whole different story. But she's had consecutive top 10 hits.
She would bully any other woman that comes out there. Any other woman, she had this long time run. And it's almost like she is a sniper to anyone else that comes out. She does not want. Megan hasn't done anything to Nicki. Lotto doesn't do anything.
When she lied to her dead mama?
And how does Nicki know that nobody else writes? Why is she assuming that no one else writes?
She's not misunderstood. She's freaking deranged.
No one cares anymore. Like, get over that part. No one cares.
Yeah, Ryan, she seems a bit unhinged. Not a bit.
She does give me unhinged.
She, like someone said, she went at Oprah and Gayle.
I feel like she has the
I draw the line.
She has the
Scorpio Moe has a crush on Gayle.
She has the mad scientist kind of like she crazy.
Roman,
I'm mad genius.
How is she? She went at Beyonce. What did Beyonce do?
It's something we don't know about.
He won't take accountability. No accountability. So Queen Latifah made a statement, and I would hope now if Nicki goes at Queen, we're gonna have to band together as a group and beat her ass. That's what we're gonna have to do. She says people are too quick to call the entire rap game trash. Hip hop is bigger than headlines and Twitter fights. It's culture. It's a voice for the voiceless. What we're seeing isn't the whole picture, but when you drag someone's child into it, that's when the culture loses its soul.
Woo, I like that.
Ryan.
I mean, you can't. I respect to the queen. Respect to the queen. I don't know what is wrong with Nicki Minaj. I don't know. I have no idea. But her music slaps.
Not that is his defense. I want to break down the Rock Nation situation because African said that Rock Nation owes her money, but
they owe a lot of people money, and I understand her thing. I just think she's going about it totally wrong. But Rock Nation owes a lot of people an apology and money.
But I saw something, and I thought I pulled it, and this where they were breaking down. Nicki said that she was owed $200 million. That was never the paperwork. The paperwork that she had did not say that. The entire Jay-Z sold it for around $350 million. So how would Nicki be worth more than he received?
No, what she was saying was the records that she had out in that time span, she didn't get the monies that were allocated or that was promised to each artist. A lot of artists didn't get it. They because of, they brought everybody out there, Usher, and everyone would get shares. But not only that, your music and your platform we're going to be on here. We're going to tabulate your money. Like, no one got paid for their money. I mean, for their streams on that service. This is the problem. That's why you hearing people. This is why whether it be the brunch, whether it be the athletes leaving, Meek Mill left. Like, a lot of people just chose to walk away in silence. They're not telling you the people that left. She's just being vocal. Meek Mill, who was his big Jay-Z's advocated for Jay-Z, one of the biggest, he left. Like, it's a lot of people that left. It's just not her that has a problem. But people know they don't want to fight against the giant. This might as well own and keep it moving.
She was offered $1 million. She was offered $1 million and for a 3% ownership stake that she had in Tidal. She turned it down. The company sold for $300 million. Right. And she turned down the $1 million, calling it a tactic to be silenced and saying that she was scammed. And now she is saying that she is demanding that Jay-Z settle this karmic debt.
Because the other thing is,
and she is saying, Mo, I just want to make sure I do double down. She is saying Tidal sold for $300 million. Nicki is saying that Jay-Z owes her $200 million.
Because if you read the deal, Jay-Z took a low ball deal too. That's what people were. That's the biggest complaint. It's like, why would you take that? You brought all these people on me and you showcased them and got them all together, only to sell it for way less than you should have. And he tried to get out early. He couldn't compete with the big boys, and that's what people felt like they took a loss of what they could have made. And
but I would just assume, I don't know that part of it, but I do think that Jay-Z, if he's gonna make a deal, I think it's always gonna benefit him. I can't imagine him taking a horrible deal for himself.
It kept going and going, and they got out before it hit rock bottom, and they didn't get nothing.
Yeah, so I'm saying but still, if you know that, if I know that you sold something, if the three of us own something and you sell it for $300 million and it's just us three, how am I owed $200 and y'all are, and that's just, there's way more than 3 people involved.
Right. So if you gave $1 million to everybody, what does it look like then? You can't do that either.
No, you can't. But if she's offered $1 million and she turns it down, maybe she shouldn't have taken $1 million. Maybe she wanted some of the $300 million. But you can't.
It's confusing because I just go back to when Tidal was starting and they had Madonna and Rihanna all on the stage signing the Declaration of freaking Independence. I was just like, what is this? And the fact that they had so many prolific icons in the music game sign this, it was supposed to be more than what it was.
It was.
That's the monies they were like, well, we could have got projected. It's not the money she made, it was to project it. Like when people, Biggie Smalls, he would have sold or made X amount of money in this lifetime or in the 10-year span after, and when they sue based on that. So she's not suing on based on what he sold it for. She's been suing on based on what she would have gotten over a span of time. But they never had the chance to get all of that. And you
can't sue for that. That doesn't work. That's not real. That's not realistic.
If you sign a record deal and you're deaf and they try to go out early, you can sue for that. You can sue for projected money and they walked away from a situation. They didn't consult you. You didn't have. You can sue for that, whether you get it or not. But you can sue for that.
I will say it's interesting. When we talk about the business of ownership and Nicki, her trajectory, she always wanted to model herself as a female Jay-Z, and the fact that she, for the most part, as a hit maker, she's been able to catapult herself into that. She's a cultural icon, but when it comes to the business aspect, she hasn't mastered that. And I think that it's interesting that she does have this sense of entitlement over what she should have, but she just doesn't have the right people involved to make business sense for her.
I would say that probably a lot of those people she has alienated, much like she has alienated the rest of Hollywood. Just saying, She has gone at everybody. I mean, every female rap artist. The only female rap artist she has not gone at is Ice Spice.
She went after her.
No, she went after her.
She did at first, and then the girl cowered and signed to her because she was scared. And that's the munch. That's all we've gotten out of her is a munch.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. When you think about it.
About Nicki's she made fun of Cardi's album selling for being available for download for $4.99.
They just go when they go low, they just go lower. And it's really sad because like at the end of the day, I can't keep up with it at this point.
Yeah.
It's beyond the music, it's just hate from fan bases, from them. And it's like y'all not even it is promoting the music, but it's promoting something else too, which is extremely dangerous. We use this word so casually, but it's extremely dangerous to the culture. And it could have been really powerful if they were to, I mean, they came together for motorsport, but they turned it into a beef. And every time Nicki collabs, it's temporarily. She's had more singles than anybody that we can think of. She attaches herself to these quick hits, and it's really interesting to watch because the songs are catchy. It just ends up in our stream and becomes part of our conscience. And at some point, you got to think like, okay, well, who is a real lyricist? When we think about it, we think about a Queen Latifah who was more conscious with her rap approach. But is that what this generation really wants? Is that what's going to really resonate with people?
No, but I don't think that we can necessarily tell at this point, to what Mo said earlier. Everybody is co-writing and has ghostwriters at this point, right? That's no longer a part of hip hop. It got blown out of the water years ago. Now, do I think Nicki is dope? Absolutely. But I also think Megan is dope. And I also think Cardi is dope. In a different, like they're all different. There's enough space to be here.
That's the part that Nicki can't accept. And that's the reality of it. It's like it could be a shared space. There could be somebody and people like them and people like you, and we offer something different. And I think part of the confusion is that they're all talking about the same thing.
They are.
Become confusing. They're all talking about the same thing, and it doesn't stand out. And I wish more people, whether it be Queen Latifah, Salt and Pepper, MC Lyte, well, Queen Latifah already did, but more people speak up.
Mm-hmm.
This diversity, I think people will get offended when other people are in their lane, but all the women are driving in this hypersexual lane, and that might, at that point, people can only stomach one or two. I understand that, and I think the woman that goes outside of that and still gets accepted will be the woman that truly wins. But there could be more than one winner, and I really hope that for them, because it's the kid thing and it's gang affiliation.
The husband and the brother. Mo, real quick, can you speak to this? Tammy said Kim and Foxy were never this bad, and Elite Leo said Kim and Foxy led to a shootout. Can our rap historian share with us a little light on that?
Yeah. It did, but it was, and this is what people are afraid of. It wasn't necessarily Kim and Foxy; it was the people that were around them. Foxy had did a song with Capone and Noriega, and they were up at the radio station. Capone and Noriega, not Foxy. And Kim's people were at the radio station, Kim. And it was the guys, and this is what people are concerned about. Because the women aren't going to step up, but there are people around, soldiers or whatever. And there was a shootout with the entourage. There's some people that got like 15 years for it. They were banned from Hot 97 in New York. It was a real thing. So I think this is the violent part that people are concerned. It did become that. So why people are concerned. And you hear the affiliation with, I don't even want to say any of the names, but just street stuff. And you'd be like, wow, this could really turn into that, because there are people who are soldiers that will want to step up to prove their loyalty to whomever. and jump out the window and do something that they shouldn't necessarily do. And these women do have control of that, or sometimes they don't. Don't meaning is like, yo, I took care of this for you. What did you take care of for me? You know, them such and such, I saw them. You know, it's happened numerous of times with men. We just never seen it with women, but it did happen with women. With it was Kim's entourage, and it wasn't necessarily Foxy's entourage. It just did a song with Foxy, and Foxy did diss Kim on that record. You see, right. So if you do a record, if I invite Kim to do if I invite whomever to do a record with me, and she disses this woman, that I don't have a problem with her, but I let the record come out. I didn't say, yo, you need to change that or just take it off. Now I'm involved because I let it die. That's how Jay-Z got caught up in the Tupac situation, because he let Big say what he said on the album. He didn't have a problem with Jay-Z before that, but he had a problem with Jay-Z allowing Big to diss him. So it becomes other people start to become involved in regards tentacles, and now you're hearing, you could be in London, the other side of the world, and you got somebody trying to prove their loyalty to you. So we have to be very, very careful. And whoever said that's 1,000% right.
Yeah. And then Elite Leo said that there's some affiliations. There's some affiliations on both sides that we don't want to speak of. I just feel like it just seems at the bottom of this, between record sales and being upset, Nicki's album doesn't come out until February. I don't know if she can keep arguing with people and going at people from now until February. That is a long road to hoe. I mean, that's just a long way to go with the promo, because she keeps promising people, telling people that Cardi's album is whack, and then promising to hold on till February. But Ryan, it just would have seemed like she could have started something a little closer to the release date. Yeah. We got a long way to go, Nicki.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, like I said, so many developments. And I mean, Christal, this has been one of my favorite episodes to date of your show. Just hilarious. It's just going to be interesting. I hope that it doesn't get to the dangerous extremes of what we know it could be.
Yeah.
But I think that both women, they stand in their own lanes, and it's crazy how the females in this game is it feels more aggressive than the nature feels more aggressive than what the men were. Is that fair to say, Scorpio Moe? It's something different with these fan bases.
Well, a lot of times with the men, we know what can happen, so we kind of tread. I mean, we say what we say, but slightly more mindful. Not because I've seen 50 in rough, disrespectful stuff. So I don't want to put it all on that. But I just think with women, it's like, I'm going to say this and they're going to handle it. And it could be that way for the guys too. But we know with men, we're going to have to deal man to man. With women, they're not going to be able to get close to each other, but other people will. So
Cardi was sick of it. She said, at this point, I just need to pull up. But Cardi is saying that at least 6 months pregnant, and that's what I worry about. I feel like it's just unfortunate that we see. It's weird for me to even see Cardi, performing with this album now, half naked, pregnancy belly out, doing the twerking and all that. It's just what are we doing?
It's all part of the spectacle, though. That's why I'm just like, I don't want to. I feel like this is all strategy. I feel like it's part. She's promoting an album.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, she wants people's attention on that. She's on every TV show right now. Everybody's talking about her right now. So I feel like this is all part of the album strategy. She had the pressure of beating the first ever rap album Grammy. When she came out with that, and she had to go out of her way to top it. So much so, this could be the inner Barb in me. But so much so, that she had to include the songs from 5 years ago on it. Now that's different. That's crazy. You got songs from 5 years ago on your second album. What's happening here?
Oh,
So she's going through extremes to to match the success of her first album. That's all I see. And I think in that she knows what would trigger Nicki Minaj. She knows.
If she knows if the numbers are good, Nicki's gonna be pissed.
She's gonna go crazy. Roman's gonna come out.
Are you happy up until that very end? Because that means that nobody can be successful past a certain point without waking her up, without waking Roman up. I think that Cardi is her worst enemy. She's a Libra. Libras are very indecisive. I think she did feel that pressure, and that's why it did take her this long to put out a second album. I think she just, I don't know, because it really was too long.
But you got,
sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so I mean, if she's not writing it, she might not be in control of that. She's not a real rapper when she's hungry and I gotta put out a real rapper. So I don't really put that on her. I put that on the people around her and the business part to handle that. Because if she was really like that, and that's the part of not having the real passion to do it. This is a hustle, not a passion.
Yeah, but I think that's for most. Not maybe for Nicki, it's not. We'll give Nicki that.
And can I ask y'all something? Okay, when Cardi first came out, she came out with Bodak Yellow. And people were saying, yo, this girl is spitting. Like she was just, ever since then it's been catchy bop singles. And she tried to come out with the Jay-Z sample and all that stuff. But I just don't think it hits the same.
It doesn't, but I think we saw a lot of artists come out with a single and then switch it up and become more pop. And a lot of times that's because of the way that their label is promoting them, right? Mm-hmm. So when you see a B.O.B. first single, and not to go back that far, but I'm just saying a lot of times what your first single is, Every Day I'm Hustling, Rick Ross sounds nothing like the Maybach music that we know him for now, right? So I'm not going to hold Cardi to a different level. I think they try to go the way that makes radio records because they saw that she had pop appeal. When she was on Love and Hip Hop, she just has a personality that people like. And because that record is talking about some affiliations and it's not really what you want to keep doing if you want to go pop and get Pepsi and get Candy shoes and things like that. All the deals that she's had, she would not have been able to maintain them if she kept going with the bloody shoes.
These are bloody shoes. And I will say this, the coach, the WAP.
Yes.
That was a cultural reset. Like that was just like something that was like a mega hit that was like, okay, they're talking about what presidential candidates are talking about WAP.
That is wild.
FCC is talking about WAP. So I feel like it's hard to match those numbers.
And video says Nicki won't do an entire rap album. She does pop rap for the numbers as well. Nicki is a pop artist who includes a rap verse here or there. Ryan?
I mean, I no lies detected, Mari. No lies detected. But I feel like she created that thing, whatever that is.
I want to read something that I saw about Cardi, and I think this for me, and I'm a fan of both the artistry. I'm not a fan of Nicki's unhinged personality, but I definitely am a fan of her artistry, right? Because you can't deny her. She's that chick. But I think her inability to welcome other females, to embrace other females, is indicative of a far bigger issue, right? And I think Cardi doesn't have that same issue. She's very welcoming to other females. She's just different. This young lady wrote in to a blog site and said, I'm a single mom, and I'll never forget when I met Cardi B back in 2018 while working at the hotel where she was staying. I didn't have anyone to watch my toddler that day, so I brought her to work and had her quietly hiding behind the front desk. When Cardi noticed her, I was terrified that I may get in trouble or actually lose my job. Instead, she smiled with so much warmth and told me that she used to hide at her mom's job too. Later, she checked out and she came back with coloring books, crayons, snacks, and toys for my daughter, and she left me a huge tip. Cardi B spoke life into me as a woman and a mother that day. Her compassion and understanding reminded me that even in hard times, we're seen, valued, and capable of rising above. She truly has a beautiful heart. I think that's the difference between Cardi and Nicki, and I think that's why Cardi continues to be well received. We all are sitting here looking like, girl, she is the little sister we all want to pull to the side and be like, leave that Negro alone. This is not how you get over a bad one, by jumping out of the frying pan and into the fire. But she's just honest, right? And so, like with her saying, the guy is cheating on me, y'all getting cheated on too. I just love him, you know what I mean? And then saying, I want to raise my kids around my family. I come from a family where there's a lot of, like, she just is real, and she doesn't take herself too seriously. And I think that's a lesson that your queen could learn from.
Queen. Don't get it twisted. I can accept that Nicki's a monster. She's a motherfucking monster.
Nicki could take a page out of Cardi's book, but I do want to say that the times are different, right? So when Nicki came up, it was a lot more competitive, and there wasn't as much collaboration to me. I think with female artists, because most of them were not, they had to be co-signed by guys. It was very different. So I want to give her.
We got some comments. Thank you. She said, "Now that's not
much charity for charity now, because Nicki just sent some people to college." Okay, African,
I didn't want to be, because I don't want it to be, I don't want people to get misunderstood, because I do like Nicki, but I do see what Cardi's doing too. But Nicki has done some noble acts.
Yeah, I believe it. I want her to just be okay doing her acts, but also be okay with other females being successful.
Yeah,
and
I would say this.
I think she's okay. She's okay if they sing gospel. She's okay if they sing R&B. But if they step into hip hop, she ain't having it.
I will say what really intrigued me was Cardi B's perspective on politics and how she educated people during the 2020 election. How she, she was very well versed in politics, and that was like, wow, you are more than what you're presenting.
Mm-hmm. That was her favorite subject. She was like in school. So you're 1,000. I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people don't know that, and she was well versed in it, man. She knows her stuff.
Yeah. I think she's. I think at the end of the day, both of them are extremely talented. I hated seeing Nicki's son and Cardi's daughter brought into it, because that is below the belt. And I know from working personally with celebrities and their children, a lot of times the kids have a much harder time than people understand. I remember, and you guys, everybody that watches my channel knows I represent TLC and have for years. I work with a lot of other people, but I have a close relationship with them, like family. So Media Takeout, back in the day, Media Takeout had done some very just horrible posts on Chili's son. And I actually called the owner and just said, like, this kid is like 14, like he's having a really hard time, with things that you guys are saying about him. And he apologized. Chili did a petition. He apologized, took everything down. But that's a media site. Can you imagine if another artist was getting press by speaking negatively about a 7-year-old? You know what I mean? And she's 7 now, but she will be older later, and that will always, that's a lot for kids to have to deal with. Nicki actually did an AI grill show. Like, it was just very over the top, making fun of her smile. And I just like, now both of them apologized to the other's child, but at that point, I wish they just had kept that, because it was not even, I think it had gone too far. Nicki said that it was for a bigger purpose to why she did it. She apologized to culture and said it's because of a bigger purpose that you won't understand. But that was just totally inappropriate.
Apology right there. If you apologize, take full ownership. That's bullshit. I don't like that.
Yeah. She
the allegations are she did this.
that is definitely the allegation. That has been an allegation for a while. Nicki tweeted, or she put on X, "Dear culture, which is totally just out of bounds. Like how do you address someone's child on X that you have been beat? Like, that's crazy that you would, this is a world of audacity. Dear culture, truth is I did all of this for a bigger purpose, and one day you'll understand. You're a cute child, and lots of kids have cute little funny looking gums before they grow into all their features.
Oh, come on. What?
One day you'll see this, so I have to say I apologize. As a child of God and queen of my community who look to me for integrity, who in our community looks to Nicki Minaj for integrity, you're an innocent child and don't deserve any of this. One day your mother, aunt, and many more, all those rappers, will be brought to their knees for what they've said and tried to do to my young prophet, my beautiful boy. Take care, my darling. This isn't who I am. She sounds like Maleficent on Disney, like the evil. Like, that was wild.
That is whack.
This is insane.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I fell into the shenanigans. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I fell into the shenanigans.
I can't. I mean, it is. So Cardi just said, oh my gosh. Cardi said, keep my child's name out of your mouth, which I expect her to do. And she said, hold on, I'm pulling up hers. I don't like any of this. This is just calling the child by their nickname. Whew. It's all bad, y'all. It's just all bad. It's all bad. Keep my child's name out of your mouth, because I'm going to always take you where you don't want to go about mine. Honestly, truth is, this going back and forth about kids is draining my energy. I really don't want to keep mentioning the kids. It feels very nasty and dark, but the energy you keep giving is the energy you keep giving in my kids. The energy you keep giving my kids, I'm going to resend back to Messenger every time.
Do they really, like, as much as whether Cardi or really Nicki is married to Jay-Z and Nas, like, do you know you're winning when you keep quiet and keep it moving?
And you're right, Maleficent isn't evil, but it just sounded like a bad thing. But so Cardi did respond and called Nicki's son Papa Perk. I'm sorry that your mommy hasn't cut you a birthday cake for the past 3 days because she can't take my success or happiness. One day you're going to grow up, and I hope you'll understand when a girl says no, it means no. And you can overcome the pedophilia blood you inherited from your grandfather, father. Please don't hate me when you grow up, because your mommy would rather give me more attention than she gives you. Hopefully, somebody that really cares about her puts her in rehab and helps you get the help she needs. She'll come out and read you a book. Cardi's was more about Nicki. She didn't insult the boy. Right. Nicki made fun of Cardi's daughter's smile.
She did say her son's favorite color was 5.
She did.
I'm just putting that out there.
She did. I forgot about that. She did. She did.
This is insane.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is just different.
This is not. I feel like what UNITY was all about. Like, this doesn't. This feels like we've gone away from. I don't know if everybody needs to get a copy of The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. I feel like Lauryn was so needed, and sister, we needed you so many more. We needed so many more albums. Jesus help us.
Who Nicki bowed down to, like, got her on her knee, and
that's only because Lauryn ain't doing it anymore.
No, yeah, but I mean, I don't think she does it to people before them. She does it to people after her.
Not what color.
No, but she never did. She never
was before her, so now I can't say that.
You're right. Kim, she never did that with Lil' Kim, and to look at her, she looks. When you look at that picture of Lil' Kim with the makeup and the hair.
Yeah, the whole squat picture when she's squatting down.
Yeah. I mean, it's no doubt. There's no doubt the influence that Lil' Kim had on Nicki Minaj.
Yeah. Yeah, I think. I just felt like.
Wow.
Wow. Right.
If I wasn't already bald, I would be bald more.
Your edges will be snatched. Your edges will be snatched.
Wow, this is insane.
Let's last minute thoughts, Ryan, on Nicki and Cardi.
I mean, it's just sad, you know. I think that when we think about the hateful words that are spewing and the hate that are coming from the fan bases, is I don't even know. To be honest, I know that Cardi dropped the album, but I'm like, I'm hearing more about this than the actual album. Yeah. I'm hearing about this more than the actual what the project is supposed to be. And I think that when it comes to this, it's overshadowing the project. You know, it's really unfortunate that we waited so long for Cardi's second album, and this is the root of it. You know, I know that Cardi will be successful. I know that she has a long career here ahead of her. So sorry to Nicki Minaj.
Yeah. I really hope that Nicki can get her career back on, because she's a huge talent, and 43 is not old. It is too old to be doing this, but it's not old. And I think she's still very relevant, but I think she's self-destructing, and I hope that she can get herself together. I hope Cardi can push through, because this is a lot. I mean, like, you know, to Mo's earlier point, all this stress happening that is happening with this promotion, and then to know that she's planning to have the baby, drop the baby, go into tour rehearsal, and then go on tour at the top of the year. That's a lot, you know what I mean? And I know that Beyonce's managed to make everybody think it's easy and it's possible, but Beyonce also is not beefing with anybody. She lives a very soft life off the stage. So I don't know. She wasn't arguing back and forth. Well, she was having some lemonade moments, but Cardi's in a total different predicament. So I just really wish her well. I wish her lots of love around her. And, you know, and like I said, I hope Nicki can come to herself before we lose her talent in her, you know, delusion. Mo?
I think to get Nicki some help. I think this is a cry for help. Whatever situation happened to Lauryn Hill in the space she seemed to be in at one point, I don't know if she's still there now. We could possibly get Nicki there. This game could be very, very dark, demonic. It can be wild behind the scenes and stuff that especially women go through. So I think I don't want to overly criticize Nicki, because I think she needs help. And when you're the boss, it's just like, and you're cutting checks and moving around, I don't think no one's telling you, you know, but I think she needs to talk to someone. She really needs to seek help. I think Cardi will be all right, man. She'll be all right. Yeah. I think her response.
Not Nicki and Jack are right.
Her response is louder sometimes than what actually happened to her, and it could make it seem like she's the aggressor, and she's not.
Yeah, it's like she's 50. She responds.
Right, and people, right, exactly. And people always seem to forget that about 50, and I think it's the same thing right here. And it's her nature. That's the environment she grew up in. Somebody do something, you attack. You know, you don't fall back, and she's not that spaceship. These people, well, not so much Nicki, but Cardi's still very young.
32 years old. 32 years old, 4 kids.
Exactly, and I wish the best for her, man. Both of the ladies. I think Nicki still has time to come around with, but somebody be the bigger person. If Nicki thought she was going to be the Jay-Z, next Jay-Z, she wanted to be that, then take that approach, and you don't have to address everything. But when you're not in that top position and you're doing it, you're trying to get back, I guess it could be difficult. So I know a lot of it's ego, but I wish the best for both of those sisters, man. They're still keeping women holding the flag, trying to keep women up, because, you know, we had a couple years where females were dominant. Now this kind of slipped a little bit. Not a lot, but just a little bit. You know, the game. So, you know, I wish the best for both of them.
Well, I appreciate both of you hanging out. This has been a good discussion. We talked about, if you guys were just joining us earlier, we talked about Diddy and the trial and everyone's thoughts about, did he get enough time? Is the time worth the crime and all this stuff? We talked about that, and of course, ending with Nicki versus Cardi. Always a pleasure, Ryan, to have you join me. I'm honored whenever you come and sit in. And Scorpio Moe, I definitely appreciate you sacrificing yet another day of the week to come hang out on the channel. Make sure that you guys do these gentlemen a favor and make sure you follow Peach Pop 5, which is Ryan's personal channel. And then he's also doing all types of amazing things. Ryan, is there anything you want to share with us before you get out of here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like you said, I'm cooking. We us Libras, we keep 50-11 jobs. So I mean, it's this platform means a lot to me because I can speak freely, and you always bring out the balance, and I appreciate this whole thing. This has been so much fun.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Every time I call you, I said, Ryan, I called him Friday. I was like, Ryan, we got to talk about this because it was my birthday and they were reading the verdict and the sentencing. And I was like, oh my God, we got to talk about this. So I appreciate that so much. Scorpio Moe, anything? Tammy says, what's the next album critique?
It's Run DMC's drops tomorrow. Run DMC's self-titled first album, Run DMC. Check it out on YouTube.
Yeah. So yeah. You say what?
Run That Back podcast, by the way.
Run That Back podcast, Peach Pop 5. And you guys know we'll be back earlier today. If you did not see it, I did an interview with Letitia from Bell Collective. That ran earlier tonight. If you didn't see it, go back and watch this in the archives. Wednesday, we'll be back with Dating Diaries. And of course, Friday, sorting through all the drama on Bell Collective and more tea from Love and Marriage Huntsville that we need to close out on. So thank you guys for watching. Again, thank you guys for hanging out with me. Make sure that you like this on the way out. And Hey You There says ABCDEFG ain't no rap chick as divisive as Nicki. On that note,